Flagstaff's desert air was brittle, thick with the brewing of an invisible storm and dry with the weight of an unending summer. Meri Brown stood barefoot in the hallway of Lizzie's Heritage Inn, the broken hardwood floor feeling chilly beneath her feet as she moved through the silent walls. She watched the sun set behind the hills through the stained glass window. The house was a gift of silence. Silence had been scarce in her life, not since she was 19 years old. She went to the kitchen, opened the drawer beside the cooker, and poured herself a glass of water. One folded piece of paper, a copy of the Coyote Pass land deed, was inside. The borders were yellowed, and the ink was a little smudged. However, it was obvious. Meri gazed at it without a word. In the weeks after she'd transferred the deed, she'd spent numerous evenings gazing at it. Because she had signed the documents during the quiet hours, her heart pounding and her hands steady, nothing had even needed to be forged by her. She may get in. She knew. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. She was also patient. Finally, the years of being undervalued had paid off. Before she put them around their necks, they had no idea that she would yank the cords. Months had passed since it began. For years, the family had been falling apart, but when the money stopped coming in, it became more obvious. Since they moved to Flagstaff, Robyn had handled the majority of the finances, which had once made sense, or so Kody had claimed. Janelle was becoming more and more skeptical. With the hope that her name would shield her, she had invested all of her money in the land. That she would be untouchable because of her years of loyalty, stability, and sensibility. However, Robyn had been speaking softly in Kody's ear, concerning restructuring, regarding streamlining assets, about how some spouses' excessive clinging to their individuality prevented the family from expanding. Kody listened as well. He did, of course. When Robyn was involved, he always did. Meri observed everything from a distance. She was aware of their perceptions of her, the enduring but unloved wife who stayed. For years, she had been ignored, kept in the inner circle far enough away that her voice was never heard, yet close enough for Kody to avoid feeling guilty. However, she observed. She then waited. Janelle had arrived at Robyn's place late one evening. The visit wasn't long. No hugs. No idle chatter. Janelle held over the packet of property updates and added, "I just need Kody to sign these. A portion of it requires notarization. I believe a deadline is approaching." Robyn accepted it with an overly polished smile. She responded gently, "I'll see to it that he sees it. You are aware of his hectic schedule." Meri watched from the edge of the couch. She was not even acknowledged by Robyn. Unaware that Robyn had slid the document into her desk drawer without even reading it, Janelle hurried off, looking more exhausted as usual. Meri couldn't get that moment out of her head. Something that night that prompted her to look up the property information online. The actions, the loan applications, the modifications that are not filed, and the vulnerability above all. Because of the family's fixation on maintaining things spiritually, although they were legally divided, the assets were exposed to anyone who knew the system. Meri also did. And there's more. Recently, Sister Wives star Janelle Brown gave an explanation for why she was never able to enjoy the present since she was constantly stressed out. Alongside her husband, Kody Brown, and his three other wives, Robyn, Meri, and Christine Brown, she made her debut on the show in 2010. Janelle tried her hardest to accomplish her duties and was devoted to her family. Janelle ended the relationship and moved on though, because Kody failed to give her the affection she so richly deserved. Since then, Janelle has changed a lot in her life, including how she looks and how happy she is again. In a recent blog post on her company website, Tata Farms, she answered some crucial concerns regarding motherhood. Janelle started by considering the advice she would give to her younger self. Janelle acknowledged, "I would remind myself to take care of myself too. I got so wrapped up in everyone else's needs that I didn't prioritize my own. I was always stressed out. If I could go back, I'd tell myself to stop worrying about everything else and just enjoy my kids more." Janelle went on to talk about the pressures she faced in the family and gave advice to new mothers, stressing the value of spending quality time with their children. It makes sense that Janelle would want to counsel her former self to put her own needs first and give her kids more attention. She was in a relationship with her ex-husband, Kody, for about 30 years. Janelle put a lot of effort into the connection, even though it was a spiritual union rather than a legal marriage. Janelle has finally come to terms with her value as a person after putting all of her feelings into the polygamous family and contributing her own money to the family coffers, which she believes Kody may have exploited. She regrets a few things, like not taking care of herself and feeling overburdened, but she doesn't allow these stop her from changing her life as it is. This is the most self-assured Janelle has been in years. She is aware that spending time doing the things she enjoys and cares about is essential to happiness. In addition to spending time with her family and seeing her kids as much as possible, Janelle has been concentrating on growing her several enterprises in North Carolina in recent months. Her readiness to own up to her mistakes demonstrates how much she has changed. She is not attempting to assign blame or portray Kody as the ultimate bad guy. Unlike some of the other cast members, Janelle is also not victimizing herself. She is proudly declaring to the world that she alone bears the responsibility for putting the needs of others before her own. Janelle is aware that she gets stressed out by her propensity to put other people's needs ahead of her own. Thankfully, Janelle was correct to end her relationship with Kody at the appropriate time. The Sister Wives star's new, contented life demonstrates that she has changed from the woman she was before. In the midst of the ongoing Coyote Pass controversy and the arrival of a new family member, Sister Wives star Janelle Brown finally shared why she came back to Flagstaff after her arduous journey to North Carolina. Janelle has been sharing real-time updates of her life on Instagram, even though Sister Wives Season 19 will pick up with her still residing in Flagstaff before her big relocation. After being married to Kody Brown for 30 years, Janelle was eager to move away from him and their neighborhood in order to prepare for the next phase of her life with her children nearby. In a recent Instagram post series that included a story and a grid post, Janelle disclosed that she had recently returned to Flagstaff in order to finally move her belongings out of the family homestead. The Sister Wives star thanked pals for bringing the extra help and said, "I had one last storage unit in Flagstaff. It was a lot of the little things that just didn't fit into the U-Haul." Although Janelle has made it clear in recent posts that she is happily settling down in North Carolina, where she and her daughter Madison Brush co-own Tata Farms, she is also ready to finally let go of the drama that her home in Flagstaff brought about. Janelle's friends expressed their excitement for a road trip on her own, saying they may be sad for her to leave, but are so proud and happy for the progress she's making. With some of her possessions now residing in a Flagstaff storage facility, Janelle's recollections of her final years with the Brown family probably endure, even though her time in Arizona wasn't entirely negative. Janelle was probably prepared to move on with her life once she finally settled into her North Carolina house. Now that her belongings are finally packed, she will take a solo road trip to reflect on the events of the past few years. Janelle will undoubtedly think back on the untimely death of her son Garrison Brown, but she'll also probably be thinking about how she was able to move on after her marriage to Kody fell apart. The trip will probably be a great thing for Janelle because she will have plenty of time to reflect and realize that, with Coyote Pass not materializing, she is finally leaving Arizona permanently. Although Janelle may be ready to move on from the past, she will be thinking a lot as her final possessions from Flagstaff travel to North Carolina. It can take some time for Janelle to process the feelings of finally moving her belongings out of the long-standing Brown family home, even though she always tries her hardest to move on. How must it feel to devote years of your life to a marriage, only to feel more and more marginalized as your spouse's attention shifts to someone else? Janelle may carry more emotional weight in Flagstaff than she realized, and the Sister Wives star may be grateful for the opportunity to think about her future. Oh, and their wife is that person as well. Isn't that annoying? On Sister Wives, however, that is precisely what took place. Even when 3 of Kody Brown's 4 wives left him, the show that was meant to depict a positive polygamous dynamic descended into years of anarchy. Although the family had many problems, one of the primary causes of contention was Kody's obvious partiality for Robyn. Fans were relieved to see Kody's first 3 wives finally end the poisonous relationship and criticize his actions. For years, I believed Kody was only interested in Robyn. He dedicated all of his time and effort there. In addition to asserting that he has only ever loved her, he has recently made hints that, despite Robyn's difficulties, he would be interested in continuing their inadvertently monogamous relationship. However, just because his gaze isn't straying doesn't mean that he isn't focused on himself or, more precisely, on someone else. Kody's self-centered acts have not altered despite my repeated criticism of his narcissistic behavior. Since she is the sole wife left to cope with Kody, Robyn has even said that she feels overburdened. Which begs the more important question: is their love really sincere? Or is his claimed affection actually about approval and control? It's conceivable that Kody would portray Robyn as the antagonist if she were to emulate her sister wives, reiterating the same tendencies he's shown during the breakdown of his previous marriages. If that's the case, Kody's purported love for Robyn might be as self-serving as his hairstyle. When they first began dating in 2010, Kody appeared to be completely smitten with Robyn. However, considering the specifics of their relationship, I believe Kody was experiencing infatuation rather than love. He likened his feelings for Robyn to his first romantic feelings as a youngster. I find it strange and simply hurtful to his former wives that Kody suddenly implies he never had feelings for Robyn because he already had 3 wives when he met her. The rhythm he had established with Meri, Janelle, and Christine was shaken up by Robyn, who represented something fresh and exciting. He had been in multiple marriages for almost 20 years by the time he married Robyn. Following their 1990 legal marriage, Kody and Meri welcomed Janelle in 1993 and Christine in 1994 through a spiritual union. All of the wives in those early marriages were from polygamous families, suggesting that the goal of the unions was to create several families. The Browns had not been actively seeking to grow their family when Robyn was born. Kody went to considerable measures to legally wed Robyn in 2014. He never did the same for Janelle or Christine. Kody reasoned that he needed to divorce Meri in order to officially adopt Robyn's children from a prior marriage. This can appear to be a romantic, opulent gesture at first glance. However, it was also pragmatic and perhaps even strategic. Kody strengthened his position as the patriarch by lawfully marrying Robyn, giving his favorite wife a degree of stability and legality that the others never enjoyed. I believe that Kody's preference for Robyn was clear from the start and just grew stronger as the seasons progressed. For instance, the wedding rings. Even after spiritually marrying Janelle and Christine, Kody continued to wear the same ring that Meri had given him for years. He insisted on melting that ring down when he started dating Robyn. After he married Robyn, he began wearing a new Claddagh ring that his wife had designed and paid for. While filming season 18, viewers later saw Kody sporting yet another new ring in 2022, which was reportedly a present from Robyn. Kody was still spiritually devoted to Meri, even after Christine and Janelle had left the family. It was another smack in the face for him to replace rings once more, substituting one that represented his entire family with one that solely represented Robyn. On camera, Meri challenged him about it, but he didn't really respond. Meri's announcement that she was leaving him a few months later in early 2023 was not surprising. In my opinion, there are innumerable instances of Kody showing his preference for Robyn. In contrast to his prior spouses, he provided her with a nanny. While the rest of the family was still trying to find stable housing, he persuaded them to contribute to the cost of her spacious new home. It seems as though he completely forgot about the rest of the family once Robyn was involved. The children are included as well. According to a number of Kody's children with Christine, Janelle, and Meri, they don't spend much time with him and don't have a strong bond. In the meantime, Robyn's children, both from her first marriage and her children with Kody, seem to be closer to him. However, none of these is necessarily evidence of love. It suggests Kody's selfishness, if anything. He usually concentrates his efforts where he feels most valued, or where he can gain the most. Since he and Robyn are still on good terms, it probably would have been simpler for him to connect with Robyn's children. In contrast, his tense relationships with his other, now ex-wives have made it more difficult for him to connect with their children. Additionally, his adult children's fragile relationship with Kody has probably gotten worse as they have grown more vocal. Because it is founded on devotion and adoration, Kody's affection appears to be conditional. He treats people he deems deserving of it as a prize. He frequently contrasted Robyn's actions with the deference and treachery he alleges to have encountered from his previous spouses. However, having lived with Kody for almost 30 years, those women were aware of his shortcomings and didn't hesitate to confront him. Robyn entered the family sporting rose-colored glasses, but the more they did this, the more Kody seemed to have put Robyn first, disregarding previous marriages. In contrast to his previous relationships, which had long since passed, she and Kody were still in the honeymoon phase, and everything was new. After exiting an abusive marriage, Robyn acknowledged that she was seeking security and desired the safety and support of a multiple family. In retrospect, I think she could have loved Kody more for what he stood for than for who he truly was. The same could be true about Kody, who cherished Robyn's boosting of his self-esteem and reinforcement of the conduct he desired from his other spouses. Robyn has consistently been the quietest and least judgmental. She is more submissive, which could be the reason she has maintained her good standing with Kody for so long. To put it politely, Kody does not respond well to challenges. He probably believed that adding a fourth wife would restore his control and change the dynamics of the household. However, he focused all of his good energy on Robyn when the other spouses didn't share his beliefs, which was probably the beginning of the end for his first 3 marriages. Perhaps TLC should hire a therapist to examine the sister wives cast, but they haven't done it yet. For years, fans have accused Kody of being a narcissist. He exhibits many of the typical symptoms, including a need for control, a lack of empathy, and an exaggerated feeling of self-worth, even though we are unable to give him a formal diagnosis. Since history is said to repeat itself, Robyn may experience the same cycle. Is it possible for narcissists to love someone? Narcissists often associate love with how someone makes them feel about themselves, according to specialists. It's about their ego, not about emotional closeness. This reminds me of Kody. This is not to imply that Kody suffers from NPD. However, it appears that both Robyn and he fell more in love with what the other person stood for than with their actual selves. For Robyn, Kody stood for security and safety. For Kody, Robyn stood for safety and approval. Especially compared to his previous marriages, he cherished the way she made him feel. She supported and admired him when she first appeared, and probably most significantly, she didn't oppose him. This, in my opinion, explains why he was so eager to get involved in their relationship and why he developed a pattern of partiality so fast. Additionally, the fact that Robyn no longer wears the same rose-colored glasses, possibly with a small tint, explains why the pair appears to be having problems now, more than 10 years into their marriage. Relationships with narcissistic personalities often have a pattern. Idealization is the initial stage, during which the narcissist elevates their relationship. Similar to Kody's early handling of Robyn, this time is frequently characterized by love bombing, high praise, and rapid emotional escalation. The devaluation step comes next. The affection starts to wane when the spouse starts to act independently, starts to challenge the narcissist, or stops boosting their ego. It's possible for the narcissist to start withdrawing emotionally, becoming critical, and pulling away. The narcissist rewrites the story and emotionally distances themselves in the last stage, discard. They could portray themselves as the victim and place the blame on the other person. Kody withdrew emotionally, even though he never formally ended any of his marriages. He informed Meri that he no longer wanted to have a sexual relationship with her. He was always criticizing and pointing out the flaws in his wives. Additionally, he portrayed himself as the victim following each split. Kody accused Christine of betraying him when she left. He was projecting behaviors that he had displayed for years onto her, which was classic gaslighting. Kody frequently neglected Christine, Janelle, and Meri in favor of Robyn and her kids. However, he was unable to take responsibility for his actions when those women chose to leave. Robyn has stayed on her pedestal thus far. Let us know in your comments. And stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.